Okay, so like you as a Kenyan, like what do you foresee as the future of artificial intelligence? Like if you were to visualize this now, utopian world, basically.
Ethiopia is quite pretty to look at. Ideally, in a utopian setting, you have artificial intelligence being used for a lot of good, social good and economic good, of course. So AI is used to protect any marginalized groups, allow for representation of those marginalized groups, for economic good. AI and its ecosystem is benefiting the country in terms of generating wealth for the country and allowing the country to thrive. And
via increased productivity.
You could say creating new industries, new niches. There's not just I look at it as AI can improve maybe the agriculture sector. So we can increase food security. It can improve energy medicine, production. Energy. So it can touch all the sectors and do good. So that would be the utopian ideal. Is we end up in a place where we even understand some of the limitations of AI, and so we don't use AI in certain places. We don't use AI for maybe we don't weaponize AI. We don't use AI for criminal. I mean, for our justice system, we don't use it to make decisions. Well, you can see some good in having an AI as a judge. You're more likely to say the AI cannot be compromised. Of course, there's the issue of biases, but then if a judge is not going to be compromised, they won't be compromised. So there's no difference between them and the AI at that point, other than the speed.
Yeah, sure. And like biasness is a very important aspect. Yeah, because like we do have this particular scenario. Like whereby if artificial intelligence is built by some people from a certain section, they might make it biased in some way. Okay, like not to be now tribal, but if it's built by someone like who is tribal, like against a certain group of people, and then they now make sure that this particular now system will be biased towards like a certain group, and then we put it as a judge. Then whenever someone comes in, and then it is okay, like this person is from this particular group, then it's done. You win, like no matter what you said.
There's the algorithmic bias, of course, in terms of I think your ethical inclination. In terms of you as a developer. So the example I like to give is you have 6 companies that need to solve for the global food crisis around the world, that every person in the world can have has access to nutritious food that can help them sustain their bodies and their health. And the first company, see how they've built the model. Maybe the model decides to preserve human life and decides all the fertile areas of the world, we turn them into farms. Let's move people out of those areas. Another one says, I don't want to disturb the nature of how things are. So I don't want to disturb nature itself. I think the problem with food security is actually overpopulation, and it decides to wipe out half the population. So you can see there's that bias within the algorithmic bias, but there's also a bias in data, which for me is a very piece of important bias that we shouldn't remove so quickly. So finding out that with a lot of data that as you train this model, there are certain biases that you're aware of, and you may put guardrails around them. So if you look at somewhere in America, maybe you may want to remove the use of names for an AI that's going to be a judge, so that maybe the judicial system has been very harsh to African Americans. So names which are considered African American, the AI may punish more or less. So the goal is for biases, where there's a bias, put in guardrails, but you'll discover more biases. And the beauty of discovering those biases, that underlying biases you didn't know about, is you get to now bring them to the surface. So I find a bias
just
run
to
parallel.
Build up on your point. Like I wanted to mention, like when we did our KCSE papers, like you now never put in your name there. Yeah, so like the person like who will be marking that particular paper, like them they just see this particular number, so they can't know like from which section of Kenya you come from. Yeah, but biasness is a very now I can say now critical topic. You know?
Yeah, but I think biases are good. Biases if you remove all the biases in data, you are building an AI model that would operate ideally in a utopia. But the current world you're in is not that utopia. So the AI will fail. I think it's better where you have known biases to put guardrails, where you have unknown biases, let them occur, but you're running the AI system in parallel with a human system or with human in the loop for decision making.
Okay, like the way I would look at it basically, like we can implement it in some sectors that are not, I can say now, not now in like that won't put some people in a compromising situation, like some place whereby you've done some stuff, then now the model will come and say, like now will this person go to jail or not? But if you look at most of the production, because like for me, like the way I see it, like I see the best now, like the best place that now it can come in, like is from a production point of view, like whereby whatever we do, like if we're able to produce, let's say 10 tons of something, because of this particular system, we can now produce 20 tons. Then like once you do get some sufficient production you can get your now income in a very high level. And so like it's basically now augmenting like now what we do best. Because like one thing that I don't think we can do, we can't train artificial intelligence to do things that we still can't do by
and that actually speaks to whenever it comes to ethics. And people are like, oh, we need to do this and this within ethics for artificial intelligence. And I'm like, human ethics is
it's so complex.
It's been thousands of years and we have so many ethical schools of thought. How the hell have we not decided as a human race on one ethical school of thought, and now you want to put AI into a single ethical school of thought?
That's true. That's true. Just the same way like in America we do have the left, right, which is across the Western world. When you come to Kenya, like we're split into different now groups, not more so tribal attempts, but just in terms of like our thoughts, like whatever we think of, like whether someone does believe in capitalism, like whether someone does believes, like whether the now like whether now government should now do some things. Because like for me myself, like whenever someone comes and says we do have this particular problem in Kenya, and they look to the now government first, like for me, the main thought is this can be done by someone like whom is not the now government. Because like that's basically the way we can do things in a sustainable way, by basically building this particular environment, like whereby people can build some extremely big companies, can do some extremely good things. If you look at someone like Musk, and I must say, like first of all, like Musk is a very big mind of mine. Like I think like most of the things I do, like it's purely because of like the way he does some things. Because like you simply can't go and start a space company and become like it's like it's just a different kind of thought. So like for myself, I think there should be some form of privatization, but of course now government must do something. Because if you look at something like now SpaceX, like most of their survival is because of the contracts by now government. And then it's simply saying, like as a country, like we do have so many now problems, which are opportunities to so many people. Which one do we solve first? Because there's the capital aspect. Getting money to build a company in Kenya is so difficult. Like you can do your own thing, you can start your own company. Like compared to someone from a foreign country, so like just as a summary of that, do you think we should focus on artificial intelligence as a problem for us?
Artificial intelligence, for us, our focus towards it is how do we leverage it to improve Kenya.
Yeah.
I don't think we want to get. I don't think we should get into an AI arms race with everybody else who's rushing through.
Yeah.
I think we need to understand what value is AI to Kenya, and then build around that. I think that's pretty simple.
Yeah.
How we arrive at that decision, though.
In sectors like coffee,
no, that's it. Not fit. Well, okay, for me, like, so if you look at agriculture and if I pick off it, you pick coffee as the first example, I'm like, well, for agriculture, we can look at more sustainable ways of growing food, not cash crops, because I feel as my personal opinion around food security within Africa is because we predominantly focus on large-scale cash crop farming and not as intensive large-scale food crops. And I think even the fact that we call them cash crops, I think doesn't help. Because you're selling them for cheap to be exported to come back as a product that will be 10, 15 times the cost. I don't think that's of value to the economy and the country as a whole.
Import food again from...
Exactly. So
because I think we are
using AI to fix food security is a good. There's certain social goods you can do for the country. Use AI to fix food security. Use AI to improve people's quality of lives. And how do you improve someone's quality of life who doesn't have access to AI? It's all the statistical data that government and agencies have, and you use that to improve planning. Where you say we will not deploy laptops to all the schools because all these schools don't have power. It's where I remember a friend of mine was telling me they went to do some digital awareness, some training in some of the remote areas in Kenya to train kids on hygiene and some digital literacy skills. The kids were more concerned about finding water. So they have that pressing need that is a life and death situation. So that obviously would precede, like, if there was access to water, then these kids would sit in school every day. So you'd have to balance the social good and I guess the economic good because we are we are in a capital economy. Most of the world is capitalist, so there's always money driving things, and sometimes maybe the bottom line unfortunately can be bigger than social good.
Okay, like for me, I think like the biggest concern for me like just comes back to the power aspect. Because like once you can get power to so many places, like it means that you can do so much things. Like when we went to like Magadi this past week, like the people don't have water at all. Like it's just silent water. And then myself, I'm now thinking, okay, like some of these people don't know that this water can be desalinated. But then if you look at the desalination aspect, like it comes back to power. Like as much as there's the waste, or you might do this, then you have this much now waste. But the power aspect is still there. Then if you can get the power to like so many sectors, because like I saw like a certain chart, like the way countries have been now increasing their own power production. China is like this, like the graph is just like this. Then for America it's like this. So like for China it's like this, America it's like this. Then Musk said power output is a very big identifier of a country that is becoming now industrialized. Okay, like I might have put in some words, but he said that China like has surpassed now has now surpassed now America by far. Because like if you do have power like in a very reliable manner, if we can store power, like we can store it in a manner that like it's not so expensive. Like I think once we solve power, like so many of the problems that we might have will be like now much more simpler to tackle. Yeah, because like I saw this post by Zach, and it was a very different way of thinking. Like when people want to scale their own data centers, when they want to scale so many things, like there's the consideration that you might have so many computers, but what might now stop you will be the power.
Cost of power has always been an issue for data centers. And it's sort of like the cost of power and the cost of cooling. You don't want to spend $1 on power and 70 cents on cooling. You want to bring the cooling, because cooling still requires some form of power. So I think for data centers, they've gone for how can we do cooling without consuming a lot of power. And I think now we've seen like immersion cooling come in, liquid cooling, open air cooling. So there are areas around that. But when you look at power as an issue for the country, I think our issue has been how we planned the distribution. Because the dams are there, power is being generated. If we fix the distribution issue, then we can reduce the cost. Because you see, you can't reduce the cost off the bat because of all these underlying factors. I think it makes more sense to what's wrong with the distribution of power. It's not well planned. There's probably loops and redundant connections. So you remove those ones. Then you actually now start feeding power where it's not needed. Because we have what I think 8 or 6 data centers in the country, and the majority of them in Nairobi. So those data centers are operational.
Like I went to one in Konza. Like I've been to the data center in Konza. And I think like for them what they do like is a very smart approach, depending on the way you now think about it. Like so for them, I think if you get into some form of partnership with them, they will do the hosting, they will do like the entire service, but you know split the money that you make. So like that's a concern, like like especially if you're making so much money.
Well, the incentives, but you see the incentives as a startup, if that heavy load is being taken away from you, then you accept the incentive would work for you. When you feel that you don't want to split with them, and you're making more money, then move to another data center.
But like you picture like if you get into a certain situation, like whereby you signed a 5-year contract, a 10-year contract, and like there's just this now, I can say now, legal aspect to it. So like I think the cost of setting up a data center, like from what I saw, I don't know whether it has changed, but it was about 100,000 Kenyan shillings per square meter.
It's about, from speaking to one of the founders of a data center in the country, they spent $3 to $5 million. Which also it's a very large data center.
Or like what's the cost per square meter?
I don't know the cost per square meter, but within that cost also included the cost of the land where they built the data center.
Like if it's building from scratch, I think
because if you're gonna build a space and call it a data center, obviously you have to adhere to some standards for the tier. Is it a tier 1, tier 2, tier 3, or tier 4 data center? Obviously we don't get to tier 4 in country because we only have a single distributor of power. We need multiple distributors. But then you look at the tier 3 data centers that have been built, and they're remarkably capable to handle AI workloads. The issue is the density of those workloads. You can come in and put maybe 30, 50 racks while they have the existing loads. But then now as you scale more AI workloads, adding new racks with HPCs or H100s, then you realize the power that they have is limited. So I think we have data centers where we can put up all these devices. The power issue, of course, is because these machines are very power intensive. So it's very expensive. The device, the power to keep them running is expensive. Power to cool them, and they're very sensitive on cooling, is also very high. So I can see the power being an issue. But in terms of where to put these servers, well, we may not have AI centric or AI or data centers purely meant only for AI workloads. We have data centers that can take the physical servers that this compute runs on and to a limited capacity host several racks worth of it.
I see. Yeah, but I think the most important thing is to now embark on that particular journey and to talk about most of these things, like just the way we've now done it here, to say, okay, like now Kenya as a country, there are some few things to be done. There is some form of sustainability that we must have in terms of also now creating job opportunities in terms of now improving things like now GDP. Like I think the benefits of it can be so much. And I think it's still an untapped space in a way. Like as much as we do have so many people trying to do something, like the future just looks bright in that particular aspect.
A lot of people are doing things, and I think like the fact that for example, people are able to build these thin wrappers on top of for example ChatGPT, or the fact that people have access through Hugging Face to Meta's models and all other open source models, and people are experimenting. Because you don't need 30 million Kenyans to experiment on AI. You need obviously national awareness around what is artificial intelligence and its benefits to the country and to people as individuals, and allowing them to have the knowledge to make critical decisions around what aspects of artificial intelligence affects them. But in terms of the availability and the desire to build on artificial intelligence, I think Kenya is there. I think we have a lot of young, bright people. We have people who are reskilling themselves who may not be considered young, but people, all ages, people are very interested in artificial intelligence. And the fact that people may be building, because you always start small, no one's going to start large, so the fact that we've already started is a good thing.
I think we are on the proper trajectory. And with some effort, like we'll simply get to that, what we call like a journey, destination, whatever someone might want to call it. Thank you so much, Michael. This has been a very interesting conversation, talking to you, getting to know your now thoughts, like from your own experience in this particular space. And I'm sure that the people will see this and say, okay, like, there's some people like me and you, like, like now we're trying to do the most in this particular space. And just to maybe close, you can say something, maybe you are now closing remarks on the space.
I think my closing remark on the space is that it's a very exciting space, whether you're a consumer or whether you're a practitioner. And of course, the practitioner, I always like to say a practitioner within this space isn't just a machine learning engineer. You have people who are doing research, you have people who are doing governance, you have people who would work on legislation. You have people in agriculture, climate change, who have interests in artificial intelligence. So it's a very adaptive field that is very interesting just to keep an eye on. And if that isn't sufficient enough, then it's a field that is very diverse in terms of its opportunities for people to learn, skill, and try something new, and its potential is just phenomenal.
It's okay. Thank you so much, Michael. Again, I'm sure we'll be doing part 2 in some point. But I thank you so much.
Thank you, Beckham. Pleasure.
It's a pleasure.